With much sorrow, we announce the death of Petrona James, who passed away at her residence on Thursday, August 2nd, 2012, at 4:30 p.m. She was 81 years old. Left to mourn her 7 children: Matthew James, also known as Wymie, farmer of millet; Nathaniel James, also known as Bobot; Romanus James, also known as Senis; Felicia James, also known as Macomb; Anthony James, also known as Norman, originally of Millet, but residing in Chase Garden, and Managing Director of M&J Tropical Fresh Foods Company Limited; Cyril James, originally from Millet but residing in Marisil, taxi driver of Boulevard Taxi and Holiday Taxi; Rachel James, vendor at the Castries Market. Sisters: Teresa Palmer, also known as Adele, of Tetchime; Sylvia Nichols, residing in Barbados; Michelle Ambrose, also known as Cece, residing in the USA. Brothers: Ambrose Palmer, residing in Trinidad; Joseph Maxius, also known as Alec of Sarot; Aaron Palmer, also known as Wisdom of Riviere Mita; Julian of Otabo Ancillary; Wallace of La Croix; Emilio of Castries. 31 grandchildren: Joycelyn, Joanna, Tracy Henry, Anita James, and Ginella James of Canada; Cleus James, Benjamin James, Gera Stanislas, Lorraine Mathre, Eva Joseph, and Jemina James of the USA; Eric James and Mason Gaster of Canada; Wesley Joseph of Canada; Moses James; Terry James, Bertram James, Sandy Clement, Keitha James, Damian James, Loic James, also known as Gordo; Kiva James, Kiana James, Shem James, Noah James; Antonia Duplessis, student of the Camille Henry Memorial School; Zella Alexander, Velda Donovan, Herman James, Hervan James, Trevor James. 37 great-grandchildren: Cassie, Calvin, and Naeem Stanislas; Sean, Lawson, and Laura Lee Maffre; Cordell Shangu, Clarose and Evanson Joseph; Joshua and Jade; Omid, Marciana and Dean Gasto; Joselle James of Canada; Maki James, Desiree Dennis, Danica Henry and Jaden of Canada; Sierra Clement, Devontae Johnson, Philip and Carter Henry of Canada; VJ, Margaret, Tanya, Jonas and Javon of Canada; Triac and Deidre Donovan; Hernias and Ricky; Irvin James, Kylie Hamilton; Shudell and Dania; Jadia Gilbert; Anne Cherubin of Vanna; Fortuna Cherubin of Trinidad; Eliza Cherubin of Trinidad; Nieces and nephews: Rosa Dennis, Lucia Valson, Mariana Gasto, also known as Netta; Mary Edwin, also known as Maytel; Priscilla Dennis, also known as Cecilia; Jacinta Agdoma, also known as Tinda or St. Martin; Martin Palmer, Eileen Palmer, Thomas Palmer, Margaret Palmer of Trinidad; Dwayne Palmer, PC 821, Palmer of the Traffic Department, Castries; Mary Palmer; Stephanie Palmer; Mika, Ozone, Dupree, Walker, Elvis, Lavencia, Fimber, Robert. Juanita Cadet, Lucien Palmer, Alston Palmer, Clevedon Joseph, also known as Fatty of Sarot, Canitra, Camille, Carlin, and Keltus of Trinidad, Indira and Jermaine of Trinidad, Jasmine of the USA. Daughters-in-law, Cecil James, also known as Eugenie, Martha James, also known as Daphne, residing in the USA, Eunice Duplessis of Chase Gardens, and Selma Harris of Marisol. Luciana James, also known as Merling, residing in Canada. Stepdaughter, Maria Green and family of London, England. Godsons, Fabian Alfred, Jules Marty, Lennox Agdomar, residing in St. Martin. Best friends, Rosita Joseph, also known as Muriel, Francis Polius, Vitus Joseph. Also left to mourn, the Polius family of Bardeny, Palmer family of Tet Chimay, Regis family of Millet, Pierre family of Millet, families in Bardeny, Soufrière, and Ancillary. Other relatives and friends both here and abroad, too numerous to mention. The funeral service for the late Petrona James will take place at the Jacmel Community Center on Thursday, August 9th, 2012 at 3 p.m. The body will be laid to rest at the Jacmel Cemetery. Bus will be available from 2 p.m. to transport persons to and from the funeral service. The body will be exposed for viewing from 2 p.m. at the burial ground, Jacmel Cemetery.